Hello and welcome to my channel, Inspiring Life Changes. My name is Colette and I'm here today to do the solar eclipse new moon in Taurus reading for the collective, the intuitive tarot reading I do every fortnight. So this is the second part of the reading. I've already put out the astrology part of the reading, so if you're interested in the astrology part, then you might want to go and check that out already. That has been put up for you to go and view. Thank you very much to those of you who do go and view my readings. I really do appreciate it. And for those of you who thumbs up my readings and share my readings, I really do appreciate that as well. So I'm going to pull a card from the I can't actually remember what they're called. This particular deck, which I've got fairly recently, which is why I can't remember what they're called at the moment. All the cards that I use will be in the description box down below if you're interested in checking the cards out for yourselves, and also my email address is down there as well for anybody who might be interested in having a personal reading with me. So we have the inner alchemist energy. And it's saying, like an alchemist, I possess all the power I need to build a life of joy and harmony. Today, through my positive thoughts, words and deeds, I create my own light. I understand that I can use the inner magic of intention to transform myself in the same way an alchemist transforms lead into gold. Today, I create happiness. So that's a nice card to start the reading off with, our inner alchemist. I'll just put it up there. So the reading itself will be starting with 3 cards today. They decided to give me 3 cards as our energy of where we're at the moment. We have the Queen of Pentacles, which is this solar eclipse energy, the Taurus energy, the Queen of Pentacles, all the earth energy, Taurian energy in particular I always think of as the Queen of Pentacles, mostly because her throne is kind of covered in all those bulls, but it's in reverse, and so it feels like a lacking energy, like a lack of, like we're in this place of feeling like we don't have abundance at this time. There is, at this time, we do have problems with the food, because this this Uranian connection, or it is kind of an Aquarian connection as well, because Uranus rules Aquarius, but Uranus is playing a huge part at this time in this solar eclipse energy, connecting with the sun and the moon during the solar eclipse. And so all the earth energy, all that Taurian energy is really being kind of turned upside down at this time. Uranus shakes everything up. It changes everything as we know it. So that's kind of how I feel that this Queen of Pentacles is coming out today. It's kind of saying that we're in this place at this time of all our resources, our values about what we value, why we value it, our possessions, because Taurus also rules our possessions, what we own. It also rules finances as well. So it's all about those kind of things that are all kind of being thrown up into the air at this time. Big changes, and this kind of, for me, is representing that energy of massive change coming within that whole kind of physical world that we live in, that dynamic of the physical world that we take for granted every day. And so this is kind of saying, you know, there's going to be big changes here, there's going to be big shake-ups here. And it's in between, in between we have the High Priestess as the second card here. which is kind of the Pisces energy that we're having at this time as well, with this conjunction that's just taken place with Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces. It's the inner knowing energy, the divine priestess or the high priestess, that energy of going within to find the answers, whereas this is more of a kind of an outer, more physical realm reality card. This is more to do with the 5D realm, and particularly what's our inner knowing, our inner standing, inner understanding of something, the knowledge that we have from within, the knowledge that we, like when we know something intuitively, we know that we know it. We might not know why we know it or how we know it, but there's a strong feeling of connecting with something that tells us that we already know it. And she sits between these two pillars here as well. And she has on her lap a scroll which is yet to be opened, and that's significant as well, because it kind of says that there's more yet to learn, there's more for us to understand about a situation. And also I feel as well that it's kind of saying that we need to go within to find the answers, to remember that we are more than just the physical realm, we are more than just our physical selves, that we need to remember to look towards our soul self as well, because that's where the answers lie. The answers don't lie in the outer 3D realm. And as all that chaos happens, we need to find that inner stillness in order to kind of be able to ride that wave in a way. But it's also come out with the 9 of Wands in reverse as well. So this is a hard journey that it's saying here. It's kind of feels like an energy of like wanting to give up on something, wanting to give up, wanting to kind of, it's a card of, I feel like the spiritual warrior, the hard slog, because it's come out with the divine, the high priestess here. Again, it's more the physical realm, it's more the kind of like the hard slog within the physical realm, the difficulties, the struggles that we have to go through. But the high priestess is also saying that that's part of our journey. That's all part of what we have to go through in order to be able to learn about ourselves and about our environment, and to grow through the kind of travails and the suffering and the difficulties. And if you see here, he's like he's got a bandage around his head, and he's kind of holding on to that rod there to kind of prop himself up, and all of those rods in the background there, the 8 of them that are in the background, are kind of what we need to let go and release at this time. And that again is a Piscean energy, this Neptune, Jupiter and Venus energy are all connecting that deeper love, compassion, empathy for ourselves as well. Saying kind of be kinder to ourselves, be more gentle with ourselves, take care of ourselves, look after our own needs here as well maybe. So we're covered by the 3 of rods here as well. The 3 of Wands is the covering energy to this. So there is a need here to kind of stop and like think things through. or go back. So I'm being told it's like going, even though we can't go back as such, because you can never go back to anything, you can only ever go forward. So maybe that's what it's saying, is about going forward into this new creative energy. This is our challenge, actually. That's what's coming through here. This is our challenge, is to leave that difficulty and the hardship and the stress and the kind of how can I put it? Yeah, the difficulties and the suffering and the all of that's in the past, is what this is saying. Like, because these are all behind him here, it's all behind, but he hasn't kind of walked away from it yet, so he's still debating. Whereas this is our covering energy, it's our challenging energy. So this is saying that we need to walk away from all of that past energy that's not helping us anymore. It's not it's in the past, it's gone, it's done. It's time for us to focus on the new, on what's coming in, what's coming towards us, what's coming forward. Because there is these boats down here as well, and he's standing on the shore and he's watching these boats coming in, so they're coming towards him. It's like there's new things on the way that we need to take our attention onto that energy, onto the new energy, and release the difficulties from the past. And then we have, sorry about this glare, I really do need to sort this out. We have the Ace of Swords in our mind, what we're aware of at this time. And so the Ace of Swords is about communication. It's about new ideas, in fact, is what's coming through here. New ideas. Swords is always to do with the mental realm, the logical. It relates to the air energy. So that's Gemini, Libra and Aquarius. And we have Mercury just moving into Gemini, where he's going to be staying for quite some time, because he's going to go retrograde on the 10th of May. Again, if you're interested in the astrology, then my astrology reading goes through all of what's happening for us between now and the full moon that's coming up, as well as going a bit further into what's heading towards us as well. So that's what I'm getting from this. This is new ideas, new visions, new creative thought processes. And what I like about this as well is that there is this crown on the top of this sword as well. So it is like crowned in a way. It's kind of coming in from a higher dimension, is how it's coming through for me. This higher level of awareness. To cut out as well. To cut out and cut through this old kind of stagnant past energy here. And to focus, because the High Priestess is the only card here that's actually upright, it's kind of saying focus on this energy here. Focus on our intuition. Focus on our feelings. It's the feeling. Okay, the feeling. How do we feel? Rather than... And that's also how we're going to tell when it comes to our values about things as well. That's also how we're going to be able to tell what it means to us, is how do we feel about it. So how we feel about it is going to tell us whether or not we should be letting it go, or whether we need to bring it with us into this future energy. But the future, or what's in our head, is that there is these new ideas, visions coming through here. And we're ready for it as well. It's kind of what it's saying with this Ace of Swords. It's kind of saying we're ready now for the new. We're ready to make changes. We're ready to make things that we haven't, like decisions as well. Decisions. We're ready to make decisions that we haven't been ready to make before. It's an ace. So when the ace energy comes in, it kind of needs to be channeled into something for it to build on, as with all the aces. And so the Six of Cups is what's in our past energy, and for me this is a card of like idyllic past, this kind of idea of things being more idyllic in the past, and they probably were, and easier, much more simpler. Six of Cups. Nostalgia, looking back at the past, wishing we could remain in the past. We've got the Four of Cups with this as well. But there's also this kind of almost as the Four of Cups is in reverse, so it almost feels like, although we are wishing this, or we have this idea, this image of this kind of idyllic past, there is also this this sense of, again, on an emotional level, of things maybe weren't as rosy as we kind of want to remember them. Because here, it's interesting, because here, this card here, he's handing her this cup. And in this one, he's being handed the cup, but the cup's being handed from like this kind of more divine energy, if you like. So it's kind of saying to me on some level that there's something to do with this Venus energy as well, because Venus is the ruler of this solar eclipse. And we also have the North Node in Taurus at this time as well. And the North Node is where we're heading. It's our karmic destination, if you like. And we also have the South Node in Scorpio at the same time as well. But it's the North Node that is making the difference at this time. It's the North Node that is giving us that solar eclipse. Because it's only when the moon and the sun come together with the nodes that we have a eclipse. Otherwise we could have them at any other time of the year, but we don't. So it's always wherever the moon's nodes are is why we have the eclipse energy. So this is kind of giving me that kind of idea of this Venus energy, but this is the energy that's moving away. But it feels like this kind of, again, this idyllic, romantic kind of vision in the past, where things like don't necessarily turn out the way that we are hoping or believing they will, or like with our relationship issues. And so we can become very kind of reluctant to pick up that cup again, which is what I'm feeling here, the Venus energy, that kind of picking up that cup. There's a strong energy of Venus having gone through some major changes. She feels like a lot more of an independent energy, having retrograded with Pluto 3 times. There's more of a kind of like more of a, yeah, just coming through as like this more independent, like I know what I want and I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to settle for anything less than, is what this is kind of saying to me here. And there is also this kind of sense of deception here as well, with the Seven of Swords in reverse. It's like, are we deceiving ourselves? Are we sabotaging ourselves somehow? Are we being sabotaged? Are we expecting too much? Because we have the Two of Swords straight after this as well, and the Two of Swords is all about kind of a new, well actually it's kind of decision time is how it's coming through. It's like decision time. It's almost like faffing around and kind of like having gone through lots of like relationship situations. It all seems to be around relationships actually. There seems to be quite a big thing around relationships, and this could just be because of Venus being the ruler of this solar eclipse, but it's coming through quite strongly. Of this idea of like, you know, have we just been kidding ourselves on some level as well? But there is decisions, or we've made decisions, the decisions that we've made in the past. Have they kind of brought us happiness? Have they brought us to a place where we are happy with who we are, or have we kind of sabotaged ourselves along the way without realizing that that is also part of the journey? But with this Two of Swords here, it does feel like a sense of being kind of stuck or rooted to the spot somehow, like not wanting to make that decision, not wanting to move forward with something, even though we have this Ace of Swords here, which is saying like now is the time for us to make those decisions, to start something fresh, something new. But this feels, it's coming through as like an energy of like, you know, there's two decisions, there's two pathways that are opening up, and because we can't see beyond where we are. She's actually got her eyes covered there as well, so she can't see where she's going, she can't see what's coming towards her, so she's just sitting on that bench, kind of just almost like waiting for the decision to be made for her. And we do have the moon in the background, which, or the sun and the moon, it's kind of looking a bit like a solar eclipse energy, in fact, because it's the moon that is passing over the face of the sun. So it could actually kind of look like a solar eclipse energy at this time. So below us, and what we're not so aware of, we have the Two of Pentacles, and the Two of Pentacles is that energy of backwards and forwards, in and out energy, juggling energy, kind to trying to make up our mind again, make up our minds. It's coming through in that same kind of vein of not really knowing exactly what it is that we want to progress with at this time. What do we want to take forward with us? What do we want to leave in the past? This is in the deep subconscious realm. This is underlying everything. This also feels like the two, as I was saying, these two worlds that are kind of being created at this time as well. It feels like there's two very separate, two very separate, okay, like ideas, or people are very divided at this time. And that could also be because we've got Saturn squaring the moon's nodes as well at this time. And so it is a case with Saturn bang in the middle. It kind of feels like a case of, like, you know, choose a side, like stay on that side. You're either on that side or you're on this side kind of thing. So, and it feels like in the camp, you're either in the camp of the North Node and you're kind of looking forward and heading towards this new destination, or you're still kind of stuck in that past energy, in the more Scorpio energy of the South Node, of what we need to let go and release at this time. But there's kind of this two, like we're juggling between the two of them. Like sometimes we might be in the North Node energy, and sometimes we'll shift back into the South Node energy, because the South Node is always the energy of what's comfortable or more comfortable, because it's what we've already kind of, or where we've kind of been already. We understand that energy. So in our own personal chart, wherever our South or North Node is, and if you're interested, there will be a link in the description box down below for you to go and check out your own personal chart as well. Wherever your South and North Node are, your North Node is the energy that you're heading towards, and the South Node is personal for you on a personal level, your kind of comfort zone. It's where you feel most comfortable in that energy. And so for us at this time, because we're so used to this kind of, dare I say, corrupt system that we've all been kind of like herded into, for kind of want of a better word, kind of herded into this corrupt system. I kind of call it trickle down corruption, because it's supposed to be this kind of idea of trickle down wealth. You know, those at the very bottom will become richer from those at the top, but in fact it is just much more to do with the corruption that trickles down, and you either end up becoming corrupt because you are so desperate, or you kind of try to stay on the right side of the law, or of like your own personal morals and upstanding energy. But anyway, back to this kind of north-south dividing energy. It's kind of how I'm seeing this with these two separate paths. It's like we've had to make major decisions about things in our lives, whether they fit into our life or don't fit into our life. And so we're in that place on a deeper level of trying to come to terms with these things as well. Like I was saying, like, you know, sometimes being in the kind of more North Node energy, stuck in that past, not able to let go of things, and other times we'll shift into this more North Node energy of wanting to like build this new world, this new earth, this new beginning for things. And the energy that we have moving towards us at this time is the Temperance Energy, which is the energy of Aquarius, also very Uranus energy, which is playing a major role over the next 6 months as well in our lives. It's going to be a real shifting energy. Temperance is all about, again, relationships. She's all about keeping that flow of energy going. And it's also, I mean, in this particular deck, she's an angel. She was originally known as Isis. Not Isis, sorry, Iris. She was the goddess of the rainbow as well, I do believe, because, like, you know, when the sun shines through the water, you get this kind of rainbow effect as well. And the rainbow, of course, was a covenant that was made apparently after the flood, the major flood, and the rainbow was put in the sky as a sign that it wouldn't happen again. And to remember, you know, like, a rainbow is a very positive energy. When people see a rainbow, they kind of like feel uplifted by it. There's something very uplifting. It also relates to all the chakras of our system as well. So this is also about 5D energy. This is also about energy on a higher level of consciousness. And it also relates to the masculine and the feminine, which we all have within us on various kind of levels of being. But it's a kind of alchemical energy of mixing. It's like, you know, you mix things until you get kind of the perfect combination, if you like. So on some level it can also be to do with trial and error, patience, kind of staying the course, but also allowing things on that higher level, on that more divine level of being, of kind of awakening. It does feel like an awakening to something, a calling, with all these kind of like spikes around her head as well, that kind of, that higher frequency energy that is calling to all of us on some deeper understanding, because we are all water, we are all very energetic water beings. When you break it all down, we are just energy. And so we're all affected as well in the same ways. But there's also something about keeping things flowing with the Temperance card. Again, because stagnation, and when things stagnate, they die. So particularly in relationships, it can relate to the need to communicate backwards and forwards, keep things flowing. And this could also be on a larger scale as well, collectively, that we need to learn to communicate more with each other. And we do also have this Ace of Swords energy, which can also be about, or is about, communication. But it's also crowning. Again, so the higher things coming in from a higher level frequency. Okay, so in the environment of where we are at this time, we have the 10 of Pentacles, and the 10 being itself a number 10 card is a completion energy. It's a place of having got to a place where everything has come together, everything has been successful, everything has, it kind of feels like a bit like an end of the road energy here, like the end of something, as in the fact that we are literally like when you get to the end, you have to start it again. So there's a new, it almost feels like, you know, we've reached this, like historically as well. Historically, we've reached the end of this kind of 3D realm understanding of things being very physical and very much in the physical realm. because the physical realm, of course, is the kind of, it's the building blocks of everything. It's also the how can I put it, it's like the clay that we mold. It's like what we create with that. What I'm getting is really hard to put into words. Again, it's to do with resources, but it's that sense of completion, sense of yeah, it just feels like something that kind of come to its natural, a natural ending, like a natural progression, a natural, we've got to that point where we now need to rethink and restart in a totally different way. And then we have in the place of like how other people see the situation. So I always see this as the collective energy of a situation. We have the 7 of Pentacles in reverse. We have the Queen of Cups in the middle, and the 6 of Cups, 6 of Pentacles, sorry, on the other side. So again, this pentacle energy, earth energy, practical energy. With the 7, it's often about like reaping the rewards, but it's in reverse here. So I feel as though this is kind of that same energy of the Queen of Pentacles, in a way, of this lack of resources, lack of, like there's a kind of frugal energy coming through with this as well, kind of holding back, not being as abundant, not being as, kind of getting the word frivolous for some reason, frivolous as we would normally be with our you know, this kind of attitude of there's plenty more, where that came from, is kind of having to be re-evaluated at this time, because we are moving into a period of time where things could and, well, are going to become a lot harder, and a lot more well, with this 6, I'll just say with this 6 here as well, like a sense of miserliness as well, with this 6 of Pentacles in reverse, like non-compromising. Usually when it's upright, it's all about compromising with others, but it feels at this time that this is about non-compromising. Things being out of balance. But we do have the Queen of Cups in between these two as well. So there is this sense of kind of what I'm getting is kind of returning to the kind of storehouse of love, in a way, is what's coming through here. Kind of like on the need to remember that we are loved. Because the Queen of Cups is very compassionate, she's very caring, she's very giving, particularly when she's upright and she holds that cup on her lap there. And there's a kind of sense here as well of taking care, again, that energy of taking care of ourselves. That need to take care of ourselves and those that we love. Not to forget those that we love. Taking care of ourselves. Family is also what's coming through there. Those that we hold dear. Because we also have, after this, in our hopes and our fears, the Ace of Cups again, but this time it is in, or say again, but it's like this cup here that the Queen of Cups is holding is coming out again here, but it's in reverse this time. And again, this is kind of that sense of lack. Whenever anything is in reverse, it always feels like a sense of not having, of lacking something. It is our hopes and our fears, so it's not an actual reality, but it can become a reality if we focus our attention on what isn't there rather than what actually is there. So it's kind of, again, this warning energy. I kind of see the hopes and fears as a warning energy of what we could manifest, if you like, in the future as well. If we put our attention on the not having rather than the having, even when there is less than what we are used to, we still need to, feel gratitude for what we have, even if it is less. So that's what this Ace of Cups is speaking to me about as well. Because at the very end we have the Ten of Cups here. And that rainbow, which I was talking about earlier. Interestingly, I didn't even kind of think about that, but that kind of goes with this Temperance card as well. And I'm kind of feeling as well that this Temperance energy here is a bit like being tested somehow. Because her foot's half, like she's got one foot in the water and one foot out of the water. So it's like testing the waters, like we are kind of under this test at this time, or we are testing ourselves really at this time. It's not like, it's like, you know, remember that we all chose to be here together to go through whatever we're going through at this time. It was a choice that we made to come here, experience the physical realm, but also at a time where things are changing and shifting beyond what the physical realm is. So we need to kind of step away from that past energy. We need to step away from our conditioning in a way as well. What's coming through here, that kind of solid identity of who we are. And remember that we are much more. And this Ten of Cups energy is kind of giving us that recognition. It's happiness. It's one of the best cards in the deck, the Ten of Cups. It's happiness, it's joy. Again, it's like a completion, but it's a completion of something that we have kind of it just feels like completing, like this test is just how it's coming through, like passing some kind of lessons learnt, because it goes from this Ace of Cups to this Ten of Cups. So like very quickly as well. Feels like very quickly. That energy is going to change very quickly. So let's just see what the confirmation cards would like to say here as well. Again, if you're interested, all the cards will be in the description box down below. These are the after tarot cards though. I've not used these before, so it's quite exciting. Okay, so we have the Seven of Rods. Sorry, the Six of Rods, not the Seven, the Six of Rods. The crowning, you see here, is actually crowning her, because this is after tarot. So he himself is crowned with this laurel crown here, and he's also now brought it down, because usually it's up here. And he's brought it down and he's actually crowning this figure here. Often the six relates to like victory, like, and again, like as I was saying, it kind of feels like that is what's happening at this time. It's like this test, being tested or testing ourselves. But there is a victory here. There is this crowning. Again, this crown here. And it feels like this recognition of ourselves, like of deserving, that we do deserve better. That we deserve this victory, that we've worked hard. We've worked hard to achieve this victory, is also what's coming through here. Again, we have the Two of Swords. So she's still sitting here. This is what's in our head and what we are aware of, and it's straight after the Ace of Swords as well. So now these two swords, she's no longer carrying them. It's like she's given the decision away, or given the swords away, that so she doesn't have to make that decision, is kind of how that's coming through here. But what's interesting for me about this card is that here she's got her arms crossed over her front there, so she's kind of guarding something there as well. If you see that, she's guarding her thoughts, maybe guarding ourselves, keeping ourselves safe. So there's this cross here with these two swords, because she's got her arms crossed. They're going out in separate opposite directions, and then her arms are kind of in her lap. It's like she's relaxed, she's given up, and the swords are now crossed above her head. Now, swords crossed can mean conflict, it can mean difficulties, and it can mean kind of being stuck between two things. Again, that kind of stuck between two things, as I was saying, so not being able to make that decision or not wanting to make that decision. So giving that power away or allowing somebody else to make those decisions for us. But the sword can also, the cross, sorry, can also mean like a gift. It is also a runic sigil or symbol, which can actually relate to the sign of the gift. But it has also come out with the Ace of Pentacles in reverse here as well. And this Ace of Pentacles, interestingly, it's in reverse, but it has a scarab beetle in his hand there. So the pentacle, which is usually held in the hand, has actually been dropped here. Pentacles, again, that earth energy. But it's kind of saying to me that this is of more value. What he's holding in his hand, which I believe is a scarab beetle, which I know has got kind of connections with Egyptian mythology. I think it was to do with rebirth, possibly. The scarab beetle is to do with rebirth and the sun. But it kind of feels like that something is more important than something else. So there's this sense of revaluing something here. And as I was saying, like the Mercury energy is going to go retrograde on the 10th of May, and it is going to go back into, it's going to retrograde originally in Gemini at about 4 degrees, and then it's going to retrograde back into Taurus. So there could be lots of conflicting conversations. What's in our head, what we're aware of, is conflicting conversations, difficulties, again. Yeah, two sides to every story. And I'm also getting that not everything that glistens is gold as well from this Ace of Pentacles. But I will say as well that with this Uranus energy in the second house of Taurus, there is going to be huge upheavals when it comes to the financial system in general. So this could also be this Eight of Pentacles energy here as well, saying that, you know, there's this desire to move away from the kind of physical, handheld money system into something that may not be as positive. Long lasting is actually what I'm getting here. Long lasting, that it may be a short-lived experience, short-lived opportunity. Is kind of what's coming through with this Ace of Pentacles. Something that will be tried but might not necessarily succeed here. And it does feel like that idea of like handheld money in your hand, cash type thing, being replaced by something else that isn't as isn't as long lasting, is in fact what I'm getting. Isn't as long lasting. So let's see from the past energy here with this Six of Cups, Four of Cups, Seven of Swords and Two of Swords energy. We have the Knight of Wands, who apparently is in Egypt, which is quite interesting. Again, I was just talking about Egypt with the Scarebo beetle here as well. But the Knight of Wands is talking about beyond, like going beyond where he's already been. It's an energy of pushing through boundaries, barriers, limitations, things that we're told we can't do. But it is over the top of with all this energy as well. So this could also be things that we haven't been able to do in the past, like for the past couple of years at least. You know, we haven't been able to just go anywhere, do anything, experience things the way that we would like to experience things. The Knights are seen as the messengers. But there's something interesting about this Sphinx here as well, because he's kind of made of sand in this picture and it's all kind of crumbling, which again is kind of what I was gaining from this Ace here as well, this kind of sense of things not long lasting, something not being long lasting. But the Knight of Wands is also a very quick moving energy. Not as quick as the Swords energy, because that's the mind and that's very quick, a very quick process. The Knight of Wands is more about creative endeavours, creative journeys that can lead to growth, that can lead to expansion of understanding. It can also be business related, entrepreneurial type of energy, very creative ideas, too many creative ideas sometimes that don't always pay off. But if you look at his wand as well, his rod there, it's one of those that's not full of fire, it's full of growth of kind of all those leaves, because that is also a creative energy. It's like the rod is still alive and it's growing and it's very passionate energy. Is also what's coming through here. But there's something that, okay, so it's like the crumbling of the old system is what I'm getting here. Crumbling of the old system. That's been around for a long time. It's been very deceptive. Caused a lot of unhappiness. Yeah, it's almost like a story of, like, you know, from when we were younger, which can also go back like history as well, because if you look at the buildings there, they are quite a lot older looking, those buildings. A sense of kind of castles, medieval, big country houses. that kind of energy. But there's also this sense with this Four of Cups as well, of kind of growing up and kind of being disappointed with things not being how we expected them to be, things not being as idyllic, and I just keep getting that word idyllic, things not being as idyllic or perfect, or yeah, just how we expected life to be when we grew up. And instead we've been faced with a lot of kind of deception and lies and corruption, and that's the Seven of Swords energy there, particularly when it's in reverse, which has kind of led to us having to make difficult decisions. But also this kind of sense of leaving the past. What seems to be the kind of theme for this at the moment is leaving something in the past. Okay, so we have the moon itself, the moon energy, and the King of Wands as well. Over the top of the two, the Pentacles, the backwards and forwards energy, the juggling, again the past and the future energy. With the moon, when it's upright, for me, an upright moon is always about a full moon. It's always about an energy of illumination, of seeing things clearly, of things being revealed, even if it's just the shadow energy of itself in a way. The moon represents the emotions, of course, the collective emotions, the soul card. Again, I get this sense of like these two paths, two towers, which we have here in this High Priestess card here as well. So again, these choices. Decisions, pathways to walk. But things becoming, like things also, because this is the subconscious as well, so this is also about things coming up from the depth. Like the crayfish there is actually kind of coming out of that pond. And the moon's rays here are kind of literally kind of dripping light onto the situation. Is kind of how I see that as well. So something is really coming up from the depth. Things are going to be revealed. Things are going to start to make more sense. On a collective level, it just feels as though it could also be someone coming out from behind the scenes here as well, because she's literally, you can see this figure, and you don't usually see a figure in the moon card, but you can see this figure. And it could be something quite kind of sudden or surprising, or because these two dogs here are kind of reacting, quite startled looking, quite shocked, in fact, at what they're seeing. And they can also represent the kind of more instinctual, animalistic side of ourselves as well, the animals, the dogs, and well, yeah, the dogs, or the dog and the wolf. It's usually what's depicted in the moon card, which is those two separate sides of our human nature as well. So that could be, you know, how we're going to respond or react to this is on a very kind of intuitive, instinctive kind of just reaction without thinking things through. It's just going to be an instant kind of like feeling it and just kind of reacting to it is what's kind of coming through here. I don't know why I clicked my fingers there, but that was kind of how it felt. So the King of Wands, who's come out with this again, very kind of passionate energy, and he's holding this lizard in his hand here as well. So that's interesting, because that kind of, I'm not saying that lizards are going to be revealed, but it's kind of saying that something is being shown, is what I kind of want to say, is that there is something being shown. It's like he's showing us something, this character. It could also be the same person here as well, that is kind of taking up this throne or this seat here. But it feels like something is going to be revealed. Which at this time is backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. It's like it's not with this Two of Pentacles energy here. It's like, is it going to stay in the past? Is it going to come into the future? Is it going to come out of the lemniscat there? It's also known as the witch's cradle. But basically, you know, that kind of eternity symbol, the symbol of eternity. Which, interestingly, is also something that is being used by Facebook as well, but it's kind of squint and skew with. And a bit wrong. Just wrong. So yeah, it feels like something is going to come up from the depths, from the beyond, into the okay, so it could be the light of the sun as well, because I'm getting kind of the fact that, you know, a full moon is always the sun shining its light on the moon. And of course we do have a lunar eclipse coming up as well on the 16th in Scorpio. So that could also have something to do with this all coming up, the something being revealed, because at the moment it's in the subconscious. It's in the deeper levels, but it's working its way up to the surface, is what I want to say about that. It's working its way up to the surface. Nice. So we have Temperance and we have Judgment. I think there was another card that flipped, but I'm not sure, so I'm just going to have a quick nose and see whether it did or not. Maybe not. Okay. Funny when you think that card flips and you're pretty certain it did, and then you realise it actually didn't. So, Temperance and Judgment. Very interesting. Very powerful energies. Very, very powerful energies that we're dealing with coming towards us. And we, like astrologically, we do have incredibly powerful energies coming towards us, but this is literally like, you know, the judgment, the calling, hearing that calling, the final judgment on some level here. Collectively, we all have to kind of answer to that final call, that how can I put it? Ultimately, ourselves is always how I feel, that we have to answer to ourselves. It's not about answering to anybody else. At the end of the day, it's having to kind of like look at ourselves in the mirror and, you know, judge the decisions that we've made in our own lives. Could we have done better? Could we have thought things through a bit more? But the Judgment card can also talk about forgiveness here as well. But they are very, very similar looking energies here. The Temperance and the Judgment. They're both angels with red wings. So there's something that's kind of following through with this from the Temperance card. To the Judgment. And there is, if you look there as well, you can see that there is skeletons coming out the closet, or out the graves and out the closet. So I do think that is going to also play a huge part, whether this is on our personal level of skeletons rising up from the depths, or whether this is going to be, well, I think it's definitely going to be on a collective level, but I think we're also going to be dealing with it on a much larger scale as well. Again, this kind of sense of something coming up, something rising up from the subconscious, from the dredges. Very Scorpion energies, what I'm getting, very kind of like toxic, poison, okay. So I'm also being given a message about this reptilian lizard that's in his hand as well. There is something to do with that, not just being kind of, something is going to be revealed to do with that kind of, and I've spoken about this in the past. I think the last video that I did, I spoke about in the astrology, how there is a strong connection between three very kind of outer planetary bodies at this time. They were all in this kind of very tight T-square energy, and at the very center of this T-square energy is Pholos, and Pholos was a centaur who died unexpectedly, very suddenly, because he stabbed himself with an arrow that belonged to Heracles that was dipped in the Medusa's blood. So there's a whole other story about that, and I have been told that I need to do a video on that story alone, because it is absolutely fascinating and very connected, I feel, to everything that is happening at this time. Pholos relates to things like viruses, poisons, toxics, biolabs, that kind of thing, because of the fact that he is that he died with the blood tipped arrows that came from the Medusa's head, basically, and the Medusa's head was full of snakes. So I think that's also this kind of connection with the reptilian lizard in his hand there as well. So we'll see what comes from that. But there is this calling, there is this kind of, and I do feel as though, you know, there is going to be this mass kind of migration, if you like, off the planet. It's already happening. It's not really spoken about. It's not really revealed. But the Temperance card is also saying to me as well, again, this testing energy, this testing, like, the choices, testing the choices that we've made. Have they been good choices? Have they not been good choices? Did we give our choices away for others to make them for us? Is also what I'm getting. So, yeah. So, on a more personal level, when it comes to the kind of skeletons arising up out of our past energy, there is a very strong need for forgiveness for ourselves, as well as for those who may have kind of been involved in these traumatic, because they often are traumatic situations. That we are, in many ways, with this Judgment card as well, being told to release and to let them go. Is also what's coming through. And the red is significant as well, again, because the red connects to the blood, life force energy, but also, it's funny because I was thinking about red earlier, it is the root chakra energy as well. It is that kind of like grounding in the root energy, the physical root chakra energy, grounding into the earth. Is also what's coming through there. Again, it's coming back to this sense of gratitude. That's very interesting as well, because I'm just noticing the red and white flag, which is taking me back to this Egyptian here, because Egypt was the first country that kind of united under this one flag. Like one part of Egypt was supposed to have been red and the other was depicted by white. And it came together. And I believe that's where we get this red cross from as well. And of course the red cross, okay, and in the astrology reading that I've just done, the Sabian symbol for the 10th degree, which is where this solar eclipse is taking place at this time in 10 degrees of Taurus, that red flag, which is also the red cross, it talks about a nurse with the red cross symbol and how we need to take care of ourselves. I can't actually fully remember it, but maybe if you're interested, go and check that out. There's a lot packed into that video as well. A lot packed into that video. So this is the energy that's coming towards us, and it's big energy, is what I want to say. It's big energy that we're going to have to face. Like face ourselves, face our darkness, face our fears. Is also what's coming up here. Face our fears. But it does also feel like facing loss as well. I'm sure a card turned over there. Yes, it did. Ooh, interesting. So we have the Ace of Swords for the second time. So we have it in our head and we have it in our hopes and fears, along with the Ace of Cups. So that's 2 aces, which is that new beginning energy. In all, we've got 3 aces because we've also got the Ace of Pentacles here as well. So the Ace of Swords in this particular deck has now, it's facing down. And the hand that was holding it is now holding a bird of prey, which I feel is quite symbolic. This bird of prey, a bird of prey flies high, perspective, but it's also hooded as well. Ace of Cups in reverse. And the Ace of Swords. So this could also have something to do with like logic over emotions as well. Like trusting our logical thinking mind, because that's what we're used to, rather than trusting our emotional feeling, intuitive realm. Like the inner world, again, that feeling, that knowing. And also filling up our own cup as well. The fact that love starts with ourselves as well is again something that's not an easy concept to grasp. That we, in order to love others, we have to first of all love ourselves and fill our own cup up. But here, with it in reverse, it's just like all flowing out. Which could mean that there's no holding on to it, that we can't kind of contain it, that it's not containable, that it has to be kind of like allowed to flow, which again is that kind of energy here with this Temperance card that I was getting, that feeling of it flowing, of things needing to flow. Because even though it's kind of in reverse, it's literally kind of falling back into that kind of source energy is kind of where it's coming from, is what I'm feeling. It's like that is the source energy, rather than it being the other way around, rather than it coming from... There's also this dove here as well. It's also got little bells on it. So when it's upright, it's like the dove is bringing in that love, because the dove is a symbol of peace as well. It's a symbol of spiritual love, is what I want to say here. But when it's in reverse, it kind of feels as though as though this down here is like the source. It's like the source of where this love comes from, because it's shown as being water. Emotions is always shown as being water. It can also be psychic energy as well, like energetic, on an energetic level of things, picking up on things energetically. But for me in particular, it kind of feels as though this is coming out like from this source energy here. It's like flowing from the source, flowing, this constant flowing. And we've got the dove and we've got this hawk, and the hawk is hooded. And like the hawk is a bird of prey. So the hawk would attack, like it would attack the dove given half a chance. So there's something about kind of the mind over the emotions, like the logical sense of things over the feeling realm of things. And also like again, because this hand here, it's interesting, this hand here is like, here it's holding this cup. And even here it's holding this sword, but then it's no longer holding the sword or the cup, it's holding this bird of prey. And also it's gloved as well, it's gloved, whereas these are both like naked hands, shall we say, for want of a better word. Here there's something about it, it's kind of gloved, and it's, what's the word I'm getting? It's a bit like the hooded bird of prey. There's something about it, there's something that's not honest in a way about it, in a way. Yeah, honest, that's what I'm getting. There's something that's not honest. But we're more likely to trust that than we are the emotions. We're much more likely to go with this because it makes sense to us. We trust that it makes sense on a logical way of thinking about things. It makes sense, whereas if we were to go deeper into the emotions, it wouldn't make sense to us. This wouldn't make sense to us either. Not that our emotions wouldn't make sense to us, but when we don't go into the emotions deep enough to trust what we're feeling, we're much more likely to stick with the logical, because that's what we've been taught to do. Like if you think of our education system for a start, it's all very academic, it's all very logical thinking. But there's something about that gloved hand that isn't, it feels like isn't to be trusted. Isn't to be trusted because it's not like with these two, it's not, I don't want to say, okay, like natural is the word that I'm being given. It's not natural, it's not as nature intended, I suppose, in a way. There's something about it that's cloaked, hidden, as same as the hood there as well. So it could even be being kept in the dark. Being kept in the dark about things. And this is in our hopes and our fears. So maybe we're hoping that we're going to get clarity on situation with our hopes and our fears. I mean, the Ace of Swords has come out twice, so it's obviously relevant and important to us. We need the truth. We need the truth. And over the top of the 10 of Cups, we have the 2 of Cups, but it's come out in reverse. And again, it kind of feels like this Venus energy on some level of being, like, 'cause if you see here in this card that the 2 of them have actually come together. There's a connection. Whatever was between has now I want to kind of say is being resolved. And I want to say that it's also to do with the masculine and the feminine energies. In the sense of it feels like us accepting that within ourselves in a way. Needing to come to terms with the masculine and the feminine energy within ourselves in order to become complete and whole. But again, because it's in reverse, which is also why I don't feel that it's just about romance here, although I do feel that there could be something to do with attractions, law of attractions. Again, that Mars, it's kind of coming through as Mars and Venus energy, and Venus being a lot more kind of independent and not wanting to rely so much on that masculine Mars energy. But there is this kind of how can I put it? It feels like this need to recognize this within ourselves first as well, before we can have wholesome, happy relationships. Is to not just view the outer image as that gender or that sex of that person, but to understand that they also have that masculine side, or they also have that feminine side to their personality and their nature. I'm going to pull another card on that because I was kind of feeling the need to do that anyway. So the 2 of Cups and the 10 of Cups. Why is the 2 of Cups? Why is the 2 of Cups? Oh, okay. What do we have? What do we have? What do we have? And where's it gone? There is definitely a card in here that has flipped. I saw it. It's yellow. Saw it earlier. There it is. It's the Magician. and it too is in reverse. And that's very interesting because we also have the inner Alchemist here as well. And of course the Magician is that Alchemist energy. Also this Temperance energy as well, I kind of feel is this Alchemist energy, this mixing, as I would say, the masculine and the feminine. Often the cups are depicted as one being silver, one being gold, because it represents both the sun and the moon, the masculine and the feminine energy within us. So there is this need here to balance that out on some level, to bring it all together. We are working, it feels like we are working towards that with the Magician in reverse. He hasn't accomplished that yet, or we haven't accomplished that yet. And there's that dove again on the table, which is kind of saying to me that there, you know, once we kind of get to that stage of accepting this as a reality, which has been kind of spoken about for quite a long time now, the Jungian ideas of the anima and the animus, the masculine and the feminine within all of us. But that is kind of the battle as well, particularly at this time. There is a big battle all around to do with the whole gender issue, as people are very well aware, and also the cancelling out of gender as well. Which I also feel is going to make relationships a lot harder, a lot more difficult. And it's actually going to cause a lot more obstacles to be in the way. And of course Venus is the planet of love. She wants people to have this. She wants happiness. She wants people to be joined in happiness and family, and support as well is something else that I'm getting here, is like for emotional support. Two people coming together for emotional support. That is what Venus does. That's Venus's joy. But not when there's so much confusion around everything, around that issue in general. So because Venus is that solar eclipse, the ruler of the solar eclipse at this time, it may be that these are going to become highlighted issues over these coming 6 months as well. We'll have to wait and see if that is the case, but it's kind of feeling, I mean, it is kind of already there, but it may become even more relevant. And again, going back to the revealing of things. And yeah, things coming up from the subconscious into the conscious awareness. And what else do we have here? Messages for the collective at this time. The Divine Director. Intervention and purpose. Interesting. So, divine intervention is occurring. Know that you are being guided. Happiness is your purpose. That's kind of summed those energies up for me. That's what I was saying about this Venus energy. It is happiness. It is joy and bringing people together and growing through it all as well. Lessons, learning about ourselves through others, through other people, mirroring, seeing ourselves. So the Divine Director is about a facet of the heart of the Creator. According to New Thought teaching, his energy is merged directly with God's divine plan so that we can access it and understand on a deeper level what will support our true function, which is to be happy. That's just what I was kind of talking about, the need for emotional support there. So the Divine Director works directly with angels, and in particular guardian angels, so that they can fulfill their role of supporting the earth and all of the people, or all of her people, sorry. Right now, your angels are reminding you that your divine purpose on earth is to remember love and do what makes you happy. So again, that hopes and fears energy of this reversed Ace of Cups and also the Ten of Cups. Very appropriate energy, I think, at this time. And as I was saying, we may well feel or hear, see more about all of these issues over these coming 6 months. Because the Ten of Coins down here as well can also be about our legacy. So what do we get here? We've got Om Shanti, peace blessing. It says, Om Shanti, blessed are you with everlasting peace beyond words or understanding. Blessed are you with tranquility and bliss. Blessed are you with the clarity that reveals the beauty of your soul and through which all appears as infinite. There we go. So I'm going to bring the reading to a close there and say thank you very much to those of you who have listened to me, watched my videos and have liked them up. Please could you thumbs them up for me, because it does help to grow my channel on this platform, because the more attention a video gets, the more the algorithms will pick it up, etc., and put more focus on that video as well. So I'm still growing this channel. I do still have my own kind of astrology that's taking place at this time. I have spoken about this as well. For me, having Saturn kind of been squared to my sun for the last probably about 4 or 5 months now, slowly kind of getting there. It's kind of been quite restricting, quite difficult to actually kind of do as much as I would like to be doing. So hopefully that's all going to kind of, or it is beginning to ease up, but it is going to kick back in again later in the year as well. So I'll see what happens there. But like I said, I am going to be putting out a video on the Folos energy, and I will also be putting out a video on Elon Musk as well, because I think what's happening on that kind of narrative at this time is very interesting. And I did do a quick dive into his astrology just to see what was happening, and it is really interesting. So I was going to put it into my astrology read yesterday, but a friend of mine said to me, do that as a separate video, so that's what I'm going to do. Before I forget, there is a playlist of my previous videos for anybody who's interested. Also a subscribe button, so please like, subscribe, hit that bell, and get my videos as and when I put them out. At the moment I am mostly just doing the new moon and the full moon videos, both the astrology and the tarot readings for them as well. So yeah, also if you feel that anybody else is likely to benefit from this, please feel free to share my videos with anybody. That's what they're there for. They're there to kind of give information or advice or help, or just kind of in some ways make the craziness seem a little bit crazy maybe, and just kind of support and you know, get help from a higher source of incoming energies. So with all that being said, please take really good care of yourselves and enjoy this next phase of the craziness that's coming, and hopefully I will see you all again soon.